Here I'm showing some blue cards from the Scars of Miradan and Miradan blocks that I'm including in my artifact cube. I've incorporated some cards that I either had in an Infect mini cube or in a mini cube of modern staples that I was putting together. I've decided it's better to really have just one big, nice artifact cube. And in this case, we have Reshape, which is really considered a modern staple. It's a rare from Dark Steel, X and 2 blue sorcery. As an additional cost to play it, you have to sacrifice an artifact, but it's a tutor card in blue, and boy, that is useful. Search your library for an artifact card with converted mana cost X or less and put it into play, then shuffle your library. That is great. I mean, a late game play of Reshape, if that X is 4 or 5, you're digging for whatever you want. That's a great tutor card. No surprise that it's a staple. Vivisection is a 4-drop sorcery, and to cast it you have to sacrifice a creature. You sacrifice a creature, and then you get to draw 3 cards. That's not bad. It's a 4-drop though, but yeah, I mean, if you get 3 cards, if your hand is low, here's another one of these Egghead artwork from the Miradan block. Acquire, it's a rare from 5th Dawn. Sorcery, search your target opponent's library for an artifact card and put that card into play under your control. Then that player shuffles his or her library. That's very interesting. That's a tutor on your opponent's library. Very interesting. Defensive Stance is an enchantment aura from New Phyrexia, a 1-drop, and the enchanted creature gets -1/+1. So it could be really a good defense for you, or it could be an easy way to kill one of your opponent's 1/1 creatures, as long as you know they're tapped out, because if they're not, they can always figure a way to pump it. Turn Aside, I have 2 of them, and then Annul, I have 1 of them. Annul is considered a modern staple. It's a 1-drop instant, counter target or artifact or enchantment spell. Very useful indeed. Turn Aside, a 1-drop instant, counter target spell that targets a permanent you control. It's alright, it's from Scars of Miradan. 2 Vapor Snags, I think I included them in the artifact mini cube and then now they're here. Deserves no introduction, but I'll talk about it anyways. A 1-drop, return target creature to its owner's hand. Its controller loses 1 life. This card was just used in almost any imaginable deck when it was in Standard. Vault Skyward, a 1-drop from Scars of Miradan. Instant, target creature gains flying until end of turn, untap it. That's not bad for a 1-drop. 1 of Disarm, 2 of Echoing Truth. Disarm is a 1-drop instant from Miradan. Unattach all equipment from target creature. This card is made for an artifact cube. Then you've got Echoing Truth, which is a modern staple, considered so. It's a common Darksteel card. Return target non-land permanent and all other permanents with the same name as that permanent to their owner's hands. Wow, if you're playing somebody with a tokenizer crew deck that's just dropping tokens left and right, you could really disrupt your opponent. Here you have 1 of Disperse and 1 of Psychic Barrier. Disperse is a 2-drop instant, common Scars of Miradan. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. There's a lot of non-land permanents you can return to your opponent's hand, and it'll help you for a 2-drop. That ain't bad. Psychic Barrier, 2-drop from New Phyrexia. Counter target creature spell. Its controller loses 1 life. It's a little similar to Vapor Snag. Let's compare it. It's a little heavier. It's also 2 blue, which could be limiting in a multicolored deck if you don't have enough dual lands, or they don't come out at the right time. But in the case of Vapor Snag, it's target creature, return the target creature to its owner's hand. In Psychic Barrier, you can actually counter the spell, so that's pretty good. 2 of Stoic Rebuttal, and then 1 of Thirst for Knowledge. Of course, Thirst for Knowledge, another one of these super duper cards. Is actually restricted in, I think, Vintage. Stoic Rebuttal is a 3-drop Scars of Miradan with Metalcraft. It costs 1 less to cast if you control 3 or more artifacts, and it's a counter spell for 2 if you have 3 or more artifacts. Not too bad. Counter target spell. Any spell. I like that. Thirst for Knowledge is a 3-drop uncommon from Miradan. Draw 3 cards, then discard 2 cards from your hand unless you discard an artifact card from your hand. If you're playing an artifact heavy deck and you can lose one of the not so useful artifacts in your hand, or not one of the better ones that you're looking for, you can actually use this thing to get 3 cards without having to discard anything. Then you got 1 of Dissipation Field, 1 of Fold into Ether. Fold into Ether is a 4-drop instant uncommon from 5th Dawn. Another counterspell. If you do, that spell's controller may put a creature card from his or her hand into play. That could cost you. But if you counter something that you think is their major play, then the odds are that whatever they have in their hand is not that great, or they could even have an empty hand. Dissipation Field is a 4-drop rare from Scars of Meridan. It's an enchantment, blue enchantment, those are nice. Whenever a permanent deals damage to you, return it to its owner's hand. That could be very disruptive in the right deck and against the right opponent. Bonds of Quicksilver is a 4-drop enchantment aura, gives a flash, and it doesn't untap during its controller's untap step, which I think is equivalent to Vigilance. In the case of Fuel for the Cause, a 4-drop also, counter target spell, then proliferate. I may have mentioned this card in the Infect Minicube. Quicksilver Geyser is a 5-drop common instant from Meridan Besieged. Return up to 2 target non-land permanents to their owner's hands. 2. That could be good in a late game if you make it that far.